Hello, my name is Jared Winningham. I am from Mr. Sutherland's class at Blinn College for public speaking. This is my speech 4 on celebratory, trying something new. I did mine on choosing rice and beans, cooking rice and beans authentically with carnitas, which is a Mexican meat. I usually do it through the microwave, but I try to do it as traditionally as I can. On this slide, it talks about, according to today's dietitian.com, rice and beans are the biggest food staple for all of the world. It's been around for 4 to 10,000 years. This slide talks about how the most popular area in the world that is rice and beans is found is South America. More specifically, Brazil is one of the most popular. The rich and the poor eat it all the time, according to healthline.com. I'm here to inform. That's the whole main purpose of informing you about what happened in my experience. I'm going to do that by showing you what I used and why, how I used it, and what I learned from the experience of cooking traditionally. This is a slide of the first two ingredients that I got, which are the rice and the beans. The rice is jasmine white rice, and the beans are yellow beans. Casserole's the brand, and then pinto beans is the other beans I got. This is a slide of an empty aisle at Walmart. Due to the coronavirus, there hasn't been a lot of rice and beans because rice and beans don't get old very quickly. It takes a very long time for rice and beans to go bad. So that was one of the first types of foods that people went and hoarded, was rice and beans. So yeah. This is a slide of the beans soaking. Previously, I didn't know that you wanted to get the beans to soak. It gets the sugars that our stomachs sometimes aren't used to that would upset our stomachs. And it also makes the cooking process a lot easier because you can cook it a lot faster. The beans will cook if you let them sit. I let mine sit for about a couple hours. It cooks a lot faster. This is them cooking. The cooking itself took around 1 to 2 hours after you let them sit, and that's according to the brand casserole.com, casserolebeans.com. It makes a big difference to let them soak. This only took an hour usually to let them, once they boil, to let them cook thoroughly. They tasted great. This is the meat. This is carnitas. It's kind of the most Mexican or South American meat that they have at Walmart. It's the Mexican version of pulled pork, which is high in fat. It's juicy. It's on the pork shoulder, also known as the pork butt, which is a pig. This is the meat cut up. It came in a very thick package, so it'd been hard to cook just throwing it on the frying pan. So I cut it up in scissors, kind of decent chunks, not like strips, but decent chunks. And then I was preparing it to season. The next slide is one of the two seasons I've used on this meat, or used. It's Jamaican jerk and salt. The first ingredient in the Jamaican jerk was sugar, so it had kind of a sweet taste to it. It was very good on the meat. It was just one of the two seasonings I used on it. The other seasoning I used was salt and pepper and a thing called Season It All, and the brand is called Fiesta of the seasoning, and it kind of looked kind of Mexican-ish vibes, so that's one of the main reasons why I used it. And I think this was the better seasoning for that type of meat, and especially if you're mixing it with rice and beans. You don't really want sweet meat with rice and beans. This is how I cooked it. I cooked it like this for 15 to 20 minutes, flipping every 4 minutes, so the meat was cooked all the way through. It wasn't very burnt, and I grilled it. And those are the two meats side by side. Yeah, this is the rice. The rice was the easiest thing to cook. You literally put all the rice you need in the pan, put water just a little bit over it, and then there's more precise water. I used, I think, 4.5 cups per 1 cup of rice, and then you bring it to a boil, and then you simmer it down and let it cook more thoroughly longer. These are the condiments I was going to use on the rice bowl. or that I used. It's picante, jalapenos, and hash green chilies from New Mexico. The hash green chilies are very hot. It almost ruined the experience because they were so hot. Where did it stop? This is the plate. I put all the condiments on it, and it looks kind of nice, actually plated. There, this timer goes. So it actually looked pretty good, presentated, and it tasted pretty well as well. What I learned personally, this is what I learned personally from it, is I'd rather go to Chipotle to get my Mexican food. I can cook other stuff pretty well, but the flavors weren't that great from my rice and carnitas bowl. I'd rather just go to Chipotle because I know that they're always amazing. Another thing I learned is I could try to do another recipe because I didn't do a ton of seasoning. This recipe shows, there's 6 ingredients, 7 ingredients for every rice, bean, and the meat. So maybe that would have helped me have more flavor to my meal. The meal was still pretty good, it just didn't have over-the-top flavor like a Chipotle. This is how I usually do rice and beans. Beans out of a can and rice out of a instant little microwave setup. The rice tasted the exact same, really, cooking it from a skillet pan to a microwave, but the beans was the main difference. It tasted a lot better cooking it, just letting them soak first and then letting it cook. In conclusion, I try to show my experience and inform people about what I used and why I used it, how did I cook the meat, the rice, and the beans, and then what I learned and what would I do different maybe if I did it again. This is my final slide. It's great to know that you can cook rice and beans if there was a zombie apocalypse, because that's something that's always going to be around, is rice and beans usually. And that's kind of my wow statement, is it's nice to know how to cook rice and beans. This is a picture of my dog Kilo. He was sitting waiting for me to give him some of the meal after I cooked it. That is it. Thank you.